Are you going to leave the PDP anytime soon?
The PDP, my beloved PDP. The PDP is a destroyed institution that requires a lot of skill to repair. I can repair it, listen, I can repair it, but it's getting tedious and laborious. For you can't advise them on what to do. You need to do it. I can't steal the crown of helping them to do it. They need to be willing. They can't run a party of that nature as though it is always about the next election. It can't be. They won't work. They may not even have the pathway to win anymore because they've self-destroyed it. But that doesn't mean that they can't have a pathway for a reform, to plan the party, to get the party ready, to clean it all out from the inside, to make it more available to young people and be light-footed and spontaneous. But I'm not going to, my umbilical cord is not buried there. And if you people are jealous, the president is my brother. If he dares tell me that, okay, after all said and done, come and help me, I won't even ask you before I go. And you can hang if you want, because he's my brother.
Segu Sowunmi, welcome to Hard Copy.
Kayla. Beautiful Megwa. Let's go. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. All right, so let's move on from where the last conversation ended. And of course, we've been seeing all of the things going on social media. Did you anticipate this kind of backlash, this kind of response when you were invited to see the president in Lagos? Thank you.
I have for some times now been reflecting. And as I reflected on especially social media and the energy of young people, I kept saying to myself, we must, as leaders, not stimulate society to be obedient, for that creates a mob of people who rarely do not understand the concept of the middle ground. And that better is to stimulate society that people, young or old, can reflect intelligently and make sensible decisions. So given what has always been there and some of the things that I've quarreled with, I knew that talk and all that jive they are right. But I was very clear, and I was absolutely crystal clear as to why I even went there. Before they could even release it, I don't sneak about. I released the picture myself, and I put a very clear message, interesting and nostalgic.
You understand where they're coming from, don't you? Right. There are many people who have come out and used the Nigerian people and used their activism to protect, accusing. They'll say, oh, the government is bad. I am here. I am a voice of the people. We have seen so many people like that. And then we ended up seeing them working for the same government.
I understand. I consider it late in the day for me to be hustling for the kinds of things they call appointments. Instead, I had lived my life planning, praying, walking, studying, engaging with the intention that when that generation is done, our generation is next. So the people are important to me, but I do not desire to take advantage of them. I do not desire to make them hate themselves and their country, and I do not desire for them to become a people that operates in tribal silos, however they want to disguise it.
Let's talk about the person in charge. You met with him. It was a private meeting. All we saw was a picture afterwards.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you talked about?
Wow. First of all, what I wanted to observe, you know, the villa, any presidential, like State House, like Washington and all of, like 10 Downing Street, I've always described it like a golden cage. And so I wanted to see whether some of the dangerous characterization of narrative around his frailty was a reflection of something sinisterly wrong, or if, since I know him, corpus, the brain, the realization of the issues was still there, and the brilliance of the fellow that I know. And I can tell you, every box is ticked. If you understand what it takes to design new ideas that will take time to incubate and have the strength of the nerves to be driving it, and you can see the end from the beginning of if this works, That guy is a genius, and I don't make any apologies for that.
So have you changed your mind about his economic policies? Because that was something
there were two policies that we talked about.
Floating of the naira and the removal of the subsidy.
You. There were two policies that...
Did you talk to him about those?
Definitely. Okay. You know, the political economy of the world, as at now, is running extremely market-oriented. That means you have private sector, private sector, private sector. And to God be the glory, we have our own good share of private sector boys. Big boys who can appear in Africa, and Africa must listen. The Dangotes, the Bwala, the Lumelus and co. That's the type of thing you will get when you're running that type of country. And they have it all over. That's the Elon Musk and co. But you know, if you are a statecraft champion, your eyes is not lost to the mass of the people who, for no fault of theirs, even if they tried and tried and tried, they're not going to be able to do that competitive rat race. I was concerned about how we're going to leave them fast. We talked about that. Your nation and the people can be corrupt. There's always a tendency to tie and brush everybody with the same corruption before they even get there. We couldn't have been coming away from the kind of nonsense that we had with the last governor of CBN, all of that. The new man, perhaps we were a little bit too harsh in thinking that, okay, since he knew the president, since he was the president's person, the only reason why he's sitting on that chair, you know, we were kind of like judging him with the image of previous things. But when I asked the president the same question, and guess what he told me? Because you're calm, I'll tell you. He said to me, he said, Yemi is there because I know he's the kind of person that can even tell me no. He said, Segu, I'm the president. I wanted him to, there was one money that was created for small industries and all of that. CBN got that money, the facility in which was supposed to go to all these small industries. It's there. Everybody is screaming that they should push it to the industry. And when the report came to me that Yemi had not released it, he said, Segu, I called him and said, Yemi, release him. He said, he told me no. And then when I said, Segu, I'm the president too. And then he said, I'm not done yet. I'm still looking at the inflationary implication of that. And then he even he said, Segu, he told me straight to my face that, and this one, it was us that guaranteed this. If you want to do your own kind of thing, go and use your sovereign guarantee to get that one. He said, Segu, we all know Yemi. He's there because I know that he will not balk even to me if he thinks he's wrong. So I didn't want somebody that would be there, that they would just come and be running rings around. The point I'm making is, those who use their mouth to talk as if running the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a tea party are ignorant. I've been milling around the Federal Republic of Nigeria since the days of General Sani Abacha closely. I know how leaders sit up at night. I knew how he used to say, Al-Mustafa is still alive. It's not as easy as that. Things are not, everything is not a nail or a hammer. To balance a nation, to keep a nation working, there's a lot. There are conspiracies that are even bedeviling nations, which nobody's going to come and start telling you from other nations. So what I wanted to see, and which I saw, was that I wanted to be sure that the thought process of his policy is well clear to him, and that his expected outcome is also pretty much a destination known. A destination
that is known, not some place that is ethereal and we are hoping that one day.
No, it's not like that.
All right, before we go on a break.
Okay, you want to go on a break?
If he offered you a place in his government,
okay,
it's a simple question.
When you were the one.
Would you say yes?
Just listen. You were the one that gave me the impression that my friend Daniel was saying.
Oh yes, because Daniel tweeted.
One second.
Daniel said, well, just for the people to hear.
Okay.
Daniel tweeted and
said he's been vindicated.
Yes, he's been vindicated, and he says he's glad he's leading this overflow into the Upper Congress.
You know, Daniel knows me more than that. That I'm not the type of fellow that you just come and join me to do what? I'm not that way inclined. I could have done that aeons ago. When Daniel joined them, I didn't see anything. When they unveiled the media team and all the confusion, the only thing I remember, never mind the buzzwords of communication, I remember saying is that it's a bit too wieldy. And I'm right. Communication of government is designed in such a way that one person is the one that is the face. Others are surrogates. Once you design a communication interface, and I even tell Atiku those days when we were doing campaign, this is crazy. Once you design a communication interface that a spokesman, one spokesman, two spokesman, three spokesman, all that kind of nonsense, what you're going to get is that one sharp one will be avoided. And everybody will target the one they think is weak. And whatever that person says, either the style, the tone of voice, the anger level, the strength, is going to become policy. And I said, too many cooks spoil the broth, but Daniel knows I am not going to be happy to really be criticizing him. When I said, after he left, while I was having a Twitter space with young people, and you know, young people, you need to introduce a bit of banter when you do with them, because it will be too dry. And I had done a lot of talk on how the PDP should reform. Then someone asked me, if after all this they don't reform, what will you do? And in a sarcastic manner, I said, then if they don't reform, Bwala, wait for me. That was a joke. That's more than 2 years ago. Do you know how many people I know around the president? Should I count them for some of them?
Because they're bringing it up now. They're saying that you told them to hold a space for you, and they are holding that space, and it feels like you're about to fill in that space. My space, with due respect to Bwala, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my space in his team has always been there since 1999 if I wanted it. I'm not that way inclined. I believe in the concept of Nigeria first. I believe in the concept of a pan-Nigeria. I believe in the idea that democracy must stabilize. Otherwise, what you get, and this is why we're here, if you don't stabilize the democratic parties, you're not going to be able to have policies that will last. What you're going to have is a cult of human personality, which would then be, even if the party, like let's just use them, Buhari comes in charge, he's going to run the country according to his personality. So just and then if Bwala Tinubu comes in, it's going to be the same party, but it's going to be having a different feel. I don't believe in that. So just before we go on the break, are you going to leave the PDP anytime soon? The PDP, my beloved PDP. The PDP is a destroyed institution that requires a lot of skill to repair. I can repair it, listen, I can repair it, but it's getting tedious and laborious. For you can't advise them on what to do. You need to do it. I can't steal the crown of helping them to do it. They need to be willing. They can't run a party of that nature as though it is always about the next election. It can't be. They won't work. They may not even have the pathway to win anymore because they've self-destroyed it. But that doesn't mean that they can't have a pathway for a reform, to plan the party, to get the party ready, to clean it all out from the inside, to make it more available to young people and be light-footed and spontaneous. But I'm not going to, my umbilical cord is not buried there. And if you people are jealous, the president is my brother. If he dares tell me that, okay, after all said and done, come and help me, I won't even ask you before I go. And you can hang if you want, because he's my brother. When your brother was there, did you see me go there and start begging for food? Jonathan was president in this country. I never visited. When he lost, of blessed memory, his father, who was doing like the father of government, they wanted to first throw him under the bus. All of them ran away. I used to come here. I became popular on channels because of that. In Madezeyam, kudos to you where you are. I tolerate a lot of things you do because you would just be disturbing. Shagun go, nobody wants to go. Shagun go, nobody. I wasn't in government with them. I didn't do a contract to them. I didn't do anything like that. So, okay, my brother has been there. I've criticized him more than they can dare criticize their brother. And after 2 years, I go and visit him, and some small children are behaving like headless chicken, and I'm supposed to be excited about that, like who died. Okay. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about your former boss and what the plans are for 2027. So please, stay with us on Hard Copy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hard Copy. If you've just joined us, we've been speaking with Otumba Segun Sowunmi, and we are looking at a lot of things about him, politics in Nigeria, where he stands. Is he jumping ship? He says his umbilical cord is not tied to the People's Democratic Party. What does that mean? Thank you so much for speaking with us. Thank you, Kela. It's always a pleasure around you. It feels like some kind of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Let's go. Let's see what we can do with your coalition. I remember before all of this happened. My coalition, or the alternative? No, yours. The alternative. I don't do coalition. That was what it was called. Yes, that's what it's called. So where is the alternative right now? Listen, oh God, brilliance is a gift from God. Eloquence is a fifth part of prophethood I have both. And I did say at that time that, look, if my party, PDP, wins government, and I maybe have a responsibility there, some other person would take that platform
and be using it to also stimulate. It's supposed to, it's like almost like you're doing orientation, mass orientation for the country at your own cost.
So just to be clear, the alternative, because at the time what people thought you were doing was, because you started doing town hall meetings.
I did that town hall meeting.
You know, it was,
can I shock you?
But hold on a second.
Okay.
You were doing town hall meetings.
Yes, I'm still doing.
And you were doing all of that. And so many people believed at the time that what you were doing was, you know, making yourself and you're not calling it a coalition, making the alternative popular enough for people to see it as an alternative to the government in power.
But they did ask me that, is it going to become a political party?
Yes, we asked you.
And I said, no, this is, even I said
and you said you would support whoever it was in tandem with the ideals of the alternative.
Exactly.
Does President Bola Ahmed Tinubu fit the model for the alternative?
I have said on one of your platforms that I thought that it was taking the people too much for granted if he would even sit down. Unfortunately, when the president is seated, everybody takes the mic and talks whatever rubbish can come from their mouth. I said it was very wrong and insensitive for them to be endorsing him at 2-year mark. I said that.
You still feel that way?
Why will I not? I don't. The things that I've said critically about Bwala, I own all of them. I believe in all of them. I stand by all of them. So I don't have the time, the temerity, the interest for childishness or, oh, it's coming to us, it's joining us. If I want to join the APC, let me tell you, I told everybody that wants to listen, I've been pushing for PDP for more than 27 years. I'm at my wit's end and I'm here because I can't imagine the people who destroyed it, one way or the other, are now telling me that they are the ones that are going to repair it. Young people of PDP know that as far as 2015, after the laws, I said in a meeting of all the stakeholders, gentlemen, you can't repair this party with the consciousness you destroyed it. It entered their ears and flew out. We are almost 10 years past 2015. Have they been able to grow traction? Have they queried the fundamental reason why it appears as if Peter that doesn't have a real party, the thought process and the kinds of things he's saying is so shallow? Why are the people following him? That's what leaders think about, not just the next election. Not that when your party is not doing well, the first thing on your timetable is you are looking for an alternative to go and call another party and create another party. How many parties do you think a nation is entitled to create?
Do you think that this coalition by Atiku Abubakar...
It's a waste of time, dead on arrival. When you want to do a coalition, I've answered this often. I said, it's okay for politicians to want to regroup, but you cannot, the underpinning of what will make that kind of thing work cannot be crass selfishness, nor entitlement, nor anger. It must be clarity of thought as to the way forward. And then when you have about 5 or 6 people deluding themselves that being completely over-recycled themselves, some of them being ministers and whatever for 24 years, standing on the podium of their birthday, being so idiotic as not say, we are hungry. Does that not even offend the sensibility of the people? If those are the drivers of an alternative, of a coalition, does that make sense? When
we looked at this PDP stakeholders meeting that was headed by Wike, and we talked about that zoning issue, that the presidency from the PDP should be zoned to the south, and they're insisting on Samuel Anyanwu being the national secretary of the party. What are your thoughts on that? They are not insisting on Samuel Anyanwu being the national secretary of the party. Okay. Samuel Anyanwu is the national secretary of the party. Yes. You don't have to like him. You don't have to love his face. You can't run yourself all the way to the Supreme Court. They will give you a position. You'll be pretending as if you won't obey the law. Of course, how am I going to help them with that? What about the zoning issue? On the zoning issue, oh God, after we lost 2023, I kept saying to people that, oh, I wish this one Wike didn't really put himself in that kind of complicated situation where he's in serving APC government and he's saying he's PDP, because it would erode trust. If he had just stayed without this, clearly whatever he's saying and whatever ideas he's pushing will get traction based on past investment and all that. But the problem for the PDP people and even watchers of PDP and lovers of PDP is that, what are you doing? Are you going to help us to plan to lose?
You already took a position that you're supporting Bwala Tinubu, and you're coming to tell us you want to do a position to help us tell us how PDP is going. Does that even make sense, even to you yourself talking?
Do you think that the PDP should zone the presidency to the south?
I think that at the point where PDP is now, the PDP must take a listen and listen good. Political parties are not under obligation to zone according to their rivals. Their responsibility is to accept the lie on the ground for their rivals and look for where they can get the numbers. If it is the South, then go to the South. But it will be beyond stupid to think that a Yoruba man, Bwala Tinubu, is doing 4 years. He's not even finished it. He's entitled, if he's interested, for another 4 years. And then you will come before the Nigerian people. You call yourself one fancy name and say you are a Yoruba person. All the other 5 zones in Nigeria should now accept that after Bwala has done 4 years, you want to start another fresh 8 years. When a political party is doing that, what right have they got to tell people who say, no, I'm tired, this is enough. You don't have money, you don't have sense. Why don't I go to my friends that have money and sense?
That brings us to our final question tonight. Okay. With the defections, we've heard that there are going to be more defections from the People's Democratic Party. I
pray they don't implode the APC. Look at the people that are calling themselves left of center, Akpabio and the like. So I'm sad. I created the alternative so that we all, not that people say, Segu did this, like you are paying my money, you sent me to school, or you are don't have my life. You people like normally serious. I try to tell you that the alternative so that we all can be thinking together. What else can we do? Because if democracy fails here, you people are too free. You can't survive dictatorship.
Are you supporting Tinubu in 2027?
I think that the answer to that question is very simple. I have been struggling to see and hear the critical, smart things that his rivals are saying. When we get to that point, we will take that decision. But all this, that to Malaysia to Indonesia, that's not the kind of thing that you can build a nation like this on. And you cannot also build it on
What about Atiku?
You cannot also build it on it. Atiku's case is even much more sad for me. I love that guy with my bone. You know what that means? Your flesh will die, your heart will melt, everything will go. The last thing that will decay is your bone. I love Atiku with my bones. When we finished 2023, I was depressed. He wasn't. One day I went to him and I said, Waziri, I hope you're all right. I was depressed, but it's okay. You lost. That's fine. Then they called the call to prayer. So he said, Segu, let me quickly go and pray. As I was going to say, you are still praying to him? I was talking to God, though. He didn't answer. He went to pray. He came back and then said to me, Segu, okay, if we don't pray to God, who will we pray to? I said, well, anyway, it's good, it's good. As far as we can still pray to God, maybe I can start loving him again. But let me tell you, and I was very clear. Are you done? Are you done with this thing? Because it's very, you people just make mockery of people, you shame them and all. Do you know, have you walked in their shoes? Do you know the kinds of things they contend with just to even try? And then I said, are you done? Don't answer me. If you are done, what are we going to do with this infrastructure? After all, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua gave you an infrastructure that was PDM. You've managed it up to where you can manage it. The next generation already. Sir, if you are not done, you have done it your own way. It didn't work. Just call me, call us, or let us come and do it our own way. Because your own way, you have been doing it your way since 1992. If it had worked, you'll be president. But it didn't work. But you know the problem with Atiku? I think old people are set in their ways. I can't change my dad, so I can't change Atiku. But I will not go on a journey that I know will not work for him.